I bet. Welcome back to another episode of Toxiris Discovers. Today we got 7 albums. 6 of them are suggested by the community. So let's get right into it.
It's the gang, we done came on. The gang.
The first album, obviously the only one I picked for myself, Vinyl Days by Logic. The new album that just recently dropped. I listened to it and I gotta say I was extremely surprised by it. I was positively surprised by it because the most recent Logic projects were all pretty lackluster, mediocre, not really all that good. But I have to say I really enjoy the mixtape vibe, the sample heavy production, and overall the boom bap feeling this project gives off. And that is maybe the things I like the most. I already listed them, and yeah, it's overall I think it's a pretty good project. I think it's pretty long. It has a couple unnecessary tracks maybe, but most of the time, even with the features, it is a fantastic project. And would it be a bit shorter and have a bit less just okay tracks, it would be a higher rating, but it's an 8 out of 10.
Tell me who really wanted everything that they talking about. I already done it. Don't fuck with they narrative. And how they spun it like Clive Campbell. I'ma set it with shit that's not what rap's about. So I mapped out just me and my fam. I don't give a damn. Living day to day just like the normal man.
Then we get into the next project. The first one suggested by the community, which is Ice Dancer by Blade, suggested by the man Cyphic. And I have to say, this might be one of my least favorite Blade projects. I don't know, this one just feels kind of rushed to me. I don't know, it is kind of like most of the tracks are pretty short, and it's a lot of tracks. Like I think the overall, like on average, the track is 2 minutes long on this album, and they feel just pretty rushed and don't leave anything memorable to them. Like the hooks aren't that good, the verses are never like the best thing about Blade, but here they're even worse in my opinion. So this project is really, it really just gets carried by Blade's overall vibe. That is just something that's always a bit enjoyable and a bit exciting. But other than that, this project is really empty. So I would give it a 6 out of 10. Let's move on to the next project, which is The Rich Target by YBT, suggested by the man Zhao. This project is pretty easy to sum up. It's just the most standard shit you can get, like really not special at all. I don't know, it's just like some melodic shit, some hood shit, some Memphis type shit, like shit we had on the series for 1,000 times, and for the 1,000th time it still sounds the same, and it still has close to no things that are interesting or intriguing at all. So it is pretty okay. It doesn't bother me. It's pretty enjoyable at times, but it's really just interchangeable with every other album that sounds like that. 6 out of 10. Let's move on to the next project, which is Brown Sugar by D'Angelo, suggested by Kieran Cartwright. Well, this is the first neo-soul project I have heard in my life, at least to my knowledge, and it was very interesting. I have to say, it was a new experience for me, something I hadn't listened to before. And I think the word Kieran used in a comment, smooth, describes this project the best. It is just something that is really enjoyable to listen to on the side while you're chilling, doing some, and like just have play in the back. I think this music is perfect for that. Like other people would use lo-fi beats in those cases. I think this music would work for that as well. And I think it's a great project. It's just nothing that I would throw on casually or listen to casually overall. It just doesn't have that much replay value to me. So overall, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. With that being said, we're moving on to Nostalgic Deluxe. I guess this is a wordplay because I think in French the number 2 means something like do, and deluxe. I don't know. I think that's a joke here. Anyway, suggested by the man Loco Locase. Interesting project. But honestly, mainly just interesting because of the language that I don't understand. I don't speak French at all, other than that two thing I said earlier, which was probably wrong. Um, but yeah, I didn't understand a thing. But I have to say, some tracks still have a very catchy edge to them and are pretty like enjoyable on their own. But I feel like most tracks are pretty uninteresting, and maybe just because I don't understand the language, but lack a lot of replay value and lack a lot of things that make them stand out in any type of way. That's one of the only things that drag this project down, together with something like the length. I think it's too long for this type of rap, or at least I personally wouldn't want to endure this type of rap for longer than 40-45 minutes. But hey, listen to these two songs and let me know what you think of them.
Fast life, vida loca. Tous pour de vrai, pas comme les autres gars. J'ai perdu le contrôle. Maman me trouve bizarre. J'ai triplé mon stack quand j'ai hustle.
Well, with these tracks played, I'll rate it a 7.5 out of 10. Already gave my reasons. It's pretty solid, but it's just not as special as it could be. Then we're moving on to the next project, which is the second to last project, To Hell With It by Pink Panthers, suggested by GGS. Yeah, this is weird. This is just really, really weird. This sounds like really weird music. Like music that was created to be weird. They're like the kids that sit in the last row but don't make a lot of noise, but maybe school shooters. Nah, those type of kids listen to this shit. It doesn't sound bad at all. It's actually pretty interesting. It has a lot of short tracks, but they all sound pretty cool. It is interesting, definitely.
I found the street of the house in which she stayed, and the diary's full of your name on every page.
But overall, it's just the short length combined with a sound that isn't really for me. Overall, this project didn't really leave me with anything that I could keep and move on with. So I would overall rate it a 6.5 out of 10. Well, with that being said, we're moving on to the last project of the day, which is Escape by Michael Jackson, suggested by the man Lorson. Well, to be honest, I haven't heard a lot of Michael Jackson albums. I obviously heard the singles and the songs everybody knows, but I am not really well versed in his discography at all. So this might be like the second or third Michael Jackson album I've ever heard, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. I only listened to one version of each track because, at least on Spotify, you can either listen to the normal version or something that's called the original version. I just listened to the normal ones, and I have to say I enjoyed all of the tracks throughout the project. All of them were fucking enjoyable. Even had some interesting lyricism in there, which I was not expecting, and interesting topics, and not only interesting sounds. I really like this project, and I would rate it at a 9 out of 10. Well, I guess that's a pretty good posthumous album in my opinion. With that being said, thank you for listening, thank you for watching. Have a great one, and suggest some albums in the comments. Bye.
Remember back then, all them hoes ain't want me. Now I'm ballin', all them same hoes on me. Mama told me that this came with the money and the motherfucking fame, even though I feel the same. I'm that nigga now, I'm that nigga now, I'm that nigga now, I'm that nigga now.